Alrighty, I'm doing the week 7 conversions for Chef Mara's class. We have the according sorry. According to the recipe, we have the Napoleons, which contain the Blitz puff pastry, which is a half batch, pastry cream, which is a 0.66 batch. We have chocolate fondant and glaze, which he said was a one batch, but all I could find were glaze under Napoleons and basic sugar glaze, which is what I put for one batch and one batch. Do not quote me on exactly if this is the chocolate fondant and glaze. But for eclairs, we have the pâte à choux, which is the half batch, chocolate glaze, which is a half batch, and the pastry cream we don't need to make again because she said that it's going to be part of the 0.66 batch. And the palmiers with extra pastry puff dough, that's going to be made with whatever we have left over of all of the ingredients that we're converting right now. As you can see, I have everything open. As always, we have the original yield with the ingredients inside column A, the US measurement in B, metric in C, and we can always follow along with usable metric, what we are going to divide or multiply by, what we get, and our wanted yield. So here we have the pastry puff, which is original yield of 5 pounds, 2.27 kilograms, and 2,270 grams, with a batch of half of it, or 0.5. Our wanted yield is 2.5 pounds, 1.135 kilograms, and 1,135 grams. Alrighty. With ingredients, we have AP flour, salt, butter, and water. We are going to use metric, which is 910 grams, 20 grams, 910 grams, and 450 grams. Surprisingly, and thankfully this week we have both US and metric. And I have all of these straight from the online recipe sheets and the packet. A usable metric is going to be, again, just the metric. So everything that's in grams, just transfer it over without the grams at the very end. For this recipe, we're doing divide by because we were given a fraction. So we divide by 2 to get 455 grams, 10 grams, 455 grams, 225 grams. And under our wanted yield, we can see that we have all of these same answers except in grams. So what we're going to do is grab all of our ingredients, put it down, grab our newly converted yield, or newly converted measurements, put them together, and this is what we're going to write on our notes. We're going to move on to pâte à choux, which is what the order that we were given it inside the packet. We have the original yield, which is 3 pounds. Batch is 0.2 or 0.5, which is a half a batch. And our wanted yield is 1.5 pounds. Again, all the ingredients, US and metric, are all in the packet. Moving on to our usable metric, it's just everything that's in grams. I'm so sorry. We're moving everything into our usable metric that's in grams, just without the grams at the very end. We were given a fraction, so we divide by the fraction, which is by 2. And we end up with the conversion of 115 for every 230 grams. And for the 450 grams, we get 225. Put everything to the side, turn everything back into grams, and your ingredients and final conversions are right there. That's what we're going to put inside our notes. Pastry cream is going to be a little different. As you can see, we don't have a divide by, now we have a multiply by, because we are multiplying by a decimal. So original yield is the same, 3 pounds, but what we're going to do now is do 3 multiplied by 0.66 to get the wanted yield of 1.98 pounds. Over here we have the ingredients, US, and metric, again, straight from the packet. But for the vanilla extract, which is 1 tablespoon, it gives us 15 milliliters for the metric. As you can see, I dropped everything that has to do with the bean and just kept on with the 15 milliliters, and I converted 15 milliliters to 15 grams because 1 milliliter is approximately 1 gram. So then we go to usable metric. 910 grams to 30 grams, 90 grams a pinch, and going all the way down. Over here we have our multiply or divide by section being multiply by, and we're multiplying by the batch number, which is 0.66. So everything that's in grams will be multiplied by 0.66, and these are our conversions over here. As you can see, now we have decimals instead of whole numbers, which are the pretty numbers that we want when we are working with grams. And here, as always, we do 5 or more up the score, 4 or less, let it rest. So just a reminder, we are doing this rule 5 or more up the score, 4 or less, let it rest, with the numbers behind the decimals. So with 6 more than 5, yes. So then we take 6, look at the 1 decimal point in front of the decimal, and then we make that one higher. So 600.6 turns into 601, 151.8 turns into 152, and so on and so forth. So at the very end, we have our pretty conversions of all whole numbers. We take those, put them over here next to our ingredients, and that's what we are going to put for our notes. For the glaze under the Napoleons, since I did a 1 batch on these, we have the ingredients, we have the measurements that they gave us. We're not going to change anything, we're not going to turn it into grams. That's just what you're going to put on the notes. Now for the basic sugar glaze, that one is also the other one that I did not convert into anything. I just made it a 1 batch. So original yield stays the same. We have all the ingredients right here, which are moved down. And then we have US and metric. This one is a little bit different because we are given milliliters including grams. I just transferred grams all the way across to our usable metric. And for milliliters, I converted them into grams. 1 milliliter is approximately 1 gram, so 60 milliliters turns into 60 grams, 10 milliliters turns into 10 grams. All of these in the usable metric now go all the way down, and we have our ingredients and usable metric, and that is what we're going to write on our notes. And lastly, we have the chocolate glaze, which is a half a batch, and we have 13 ounces, 390 grams. Divide those by 2 because we are given a fraction. 6.5 ounces and 195 grams. We have the ingredients, our US, and then our metric. Go all the way down to our usable metric, which is just the grams without the gram at the very end. Divided by 2 since we were given half a batch. And then we end up with 60, 60, 60, and 15. Now we need to classify these as 60 grams, 60 grams, 60 grams, and 15 grams. And we take all of those wanted grams, transferring it down right next to the ingredients, and that is what we're going to write in our notes.